So DJI have just released a new firmware update for the Mini 4 Pro and the DJI Air 3 for the DJI RC 2, and this is firmware version 01.000.500. So a quick video to let you know about this firmware update, but unfortunately it doesn't actually fix a problem that we've been seeing recently on the DJI RC 2. So if you turn your DJI Mini 4 Pro or your DJI Air 3 on, turn your DJI RC 2 on, connect to Wi-Fi, and then you will see this prompt to update your firmware. It's a fairly small update and it says it fixes some known issues. Now, nobody really knows what fixes known issues are. Everybody's going to have different bugs and issues with either their controller, their drone, their phones. Depending on your drone, everyone's going to be different. So these fixes might not fix anything for you, and they might actually fix some issues that you've been having. But unfortunately, there's been a couple of issues that I've been having recently. Now, generally this app has been really good over these last few months. We've seen loads of new features. Everything's been nice and consistent, especially on the DJI RC2. Everything's been great. If we cast our minds back a few years ago, everything used to be really inconsistent. People are having like major problems. Now it's always like tiny little problems. But unfortunately, I've been experiencing some issues, especially on the DJI RC2, which I really do hope can be fixed. So I've been flying the DJI Mini 4 Pro and the DJI Air 3 the last few weeks, pretty much daily. Now, in America, I was flying both of these and using the DJI RC2, and this thing, it seems so much slower now than it ever used to be. Let's just say, for instance, you get to a location, it's sunset. That sun has almost set. You get the Mini 4 Pro, you turn this on, it's ready in seconds. You turn your RC2 on, and this takes so much longer now to actually boot up and be ready to fly than it ever used to be. So it hangs on the DJI white screen now for even longer. And then after that, it seems to be getting into this black screen where it holds on the black screen again for longer. So it can be taking like up to like a minute for this controller to turn on, boot up, and be ready for you to actually connect to this drone. Then you've got like your pre-flight checklist to go through, make sure your settings are correct. By the time you've done all that, that sun is set and it's now blue hour. So that shot is wasted, it's gone. Now this to some people might not be a big deal, but if you're actually wanting to capture moments fast, this is really frustrating. And what's frustrating is that it never used to be like this. So it seems to be, over this last few firmware updates, this controller as a whole seems to be now a lot more laggy. So even like navigating some of the menus seems to be a lot slower. So when I got home, I tested this on the old firmware. So it was taking around about 45 seconds to boot up. Now I thought maybe this is just like full of cached memory. So I went onto the settings and deleted everything, reset this, and it was still around about exactly the same boot up time. Tried it on another controller where I have this firmware update, it's still the same. Now if I was to use the DJI N2 controller, this here with my phone, it takes about 10 seconds to actually turn that on, boot up onto my phone, DJI Fly app, control this, and I'm airborne ready. So the massive difference there between using your phone and this, you know, that could mean the difference between making the shot and not. And also switching between two different drones now takes a lot longer. So this has OcuSync 4, the Air 3 has OcuSync 4, so as the RC2. Now in the past you could turn your Mini 4 Pro off, turn the Air 3 on, and this will automatically detect it, and then it would go off and fly without any hassle really. Sometimes you would get like a prompt saying firmware inconsistent, click OK. Within about 5 seconds it was airborne. Now what you have to do is turn your Mini 4 Pro off, turn your Air 3 on, and then it would search and search and search for that Air 3, and then you would have to then do physical manual pairing yourself, where you have to hold the power button down on there, hold the button down on here. So again, that whole process is longer. In the past it used to work, so again, that seems to be worse now since all these different firmware updates. So when I saw this firmware updates, I thought, fantastic, this is going to fix some of those issues potentially. So I updated this firmware update, and unfortunately it doesn't, it's still exactly the same. So some of these known issues will probably be different issues that other people are having. Now, a little bug, which isn't really the end of the world, I don't think at all, was when you were turning the drone on, you were flying, instead of seeing N, which is normal mode, you would see P mode. This is for position mode. DJI used to call it position mode in the past, and that is still there. So Yeah, that is pretty much a bug. I'm sure that will change when we see a flight update on the DJI RC2, but for now this firmware update doesn't address that. So if you see P mode, don't worry about it, it's still just normal mode, and the Cine and Sports haven't changed, but you're still going to see P mode even with this firmware update. In regards to new features, I didn't expect to see any, and we haven't actually got any on these two drones, but we have recently just seen that update where you can use the new DJI Avata 2, the Goggles 3. You could wear them whilst flying these drones to get this fantastic experience. And you can also use those Goggles 3 while flying the drone still with the RC2 controller. I did a full video on that on my last firmware update, so go and check that out at the end of this video if you've missed that. So DJI are fantastic at actually pumping out features for these drones. Normally after drones have been released, you see new features. They are fantastic at this. But I just hope some of these little bugs that we're now seeing can also be addressed as well, and the whole actual experience then is so much better for everybody. In regards to this firmware update, I did do a flight test on the Mini 4 Pro. I'm going to switch to that now on the voiceover. Let's go. So I always like to do a flight test once I've updated this firmware, just to make sure all the settings are correct, the menus are the same, and all the features are still working. So as you can see, as I'm now switching between the different speeds, you'll see Cine mode is still C mode, but normal mode says P mode. And then sports mode is still saying sports mode. Now P mode, don't worry about that. That is position mode. I'm sure it's just a little bug that'll get changed, but it's still at the exact same speeds as it was before. I'm filming here in D-Log-M. That's working absolutely spot on. And you can see there's no jittering or lag in this app whatsoever. So I'm screen recording this, but everything is working spot on. So just testing the zoom here as well. So if you're filming in 4K, you can zoom up to 3 times. Now it's going to be a digital zoom, so it's not perfect. But again, there's no lag. It's straight in, consistent, and straight out. So sometimes with a firmware update, there could be a bit of a lag there. We have seen that before, but not on this occasion. So for settings, make sure all of these are correct and set up like they were before. So obstacle avoidance action, these are your sensors. You want them turned on, select to bypass. If you're flying through tight spaces or low to the ground, turn them off. But I would say keep them on majority of the time. Now, max altitude, you want this set depending on your country. So in the UK, I can set it up to 120 meters, 400 feet. Make sure that is still correct. Same with your return to home altitude. All the other settings, just go through there, make sure they're correct, but nothing is changed in these menus. Now, advanced safety settings at the bottom, you want that set to return to home 95% of the time. If you're on a bike and the drone is following you, set it to hover. Now, under control, I would just go through here and check everything's correct. So smart shots, I have these custom sets to the distance where that drone's going to track me from. Just go through here, and if you did change any of these menus, make sure they're all the same, just like they were before. Now under camera, I film in D-Log-M, which is a flat color profile. It means you're going to be able to then adjust the color, and also it's 10-bit quality, so it's much better. If you're not sure about color grading, you can just use it on normal. So normal or D-Log-M. I would say switch that to. HLG is really good, but it's a bit more of a pain to edit. Now grid lines, I always have my rule of thirds grid lines on. And really important, under style, this will be set by default to 0 or +1. Now I turn the sharpness down to -1. I find especially on the Mini 4 Pro and the DJI Air 3, the sharpness is far too much. So turn that to -1 and it will look a lot more natural and not like you're filming from an iPhone. So I'll do a quick test here on one of the features. I'm going to use hyperlapse just to make sure, again, there's no issues, no bugs. So I'll just do a really simple hyperlapse here. I'm going to start at this one location, and then I'll switch it. We'll do a waypoint hyperlapse. If you've never done this before, this will show you how to do this really quickly. So you select one waypoint, so you're just going to hit plus. So you just fly right, then I'm going to have this basically parallel to where this road is. And then once you're in that spot you just hit plus again. And then you go on those little 3 dots. Make sure your length and interval is correct. You want it around about 5 seconds. Any less than that, it's just going to look a bit too rushed. So that's correct there. Now I'm just going to hit record. The drone's going to then fly back to that starting point, and you can see where it says 0/125. That means it's going to take 125 photos. So I'll speed that bit up. Whilst it's doing that, I'll show you some more features on this app to make sure it's working. Now the bottom left hand corner, you've got your attitude indicator, but if you swipe right, you can now see out of the sensors. We saw this in probably December. This is fantastic. I love this. Use it all the time. So you can select one of these arrows, and now you can see out of the 4 different sensors on the drone. whichever way the drone's flying, it's going to automatically default there. But this is really good, especially when you're flying through tight spaces, or if it's a windy day, you can see just how much that drone is getting punished in the air, which is really handy to have this on. So pretty much now, majority of the time, I'm switching between either this view, or I'll switch it back to the attitude indicator, and then you can see where that blue arrow is, and you can see the drone. That's its position of the drone. So if it's really windy and you can see this line getting like swung to the left or the right, it probably means you should bring that drone back because it's getting battered in the air. For now, it's quite a windyless day, so it's pretty good. Now also, as we come into the end of this, you can see the battery life is on 32%. You can actually click on these menus and it will tell you the exact time until that drone is going to either return to home or it's going to do a forced landing. It's always a good habit to get into clicking on that battery button just to make sure you have enough battery life to get back. So that's complete now. So I'm just going to hit play and you can see that's done a hyperlapse. It's a really basic one, I know, but everything is working spot on there. And that's the whole point of this, just to make sure once we have a firmware update, everything is working as it should. You've still got all the same features before, master shots, you've got all your quick shots in here, everything's working great. Now, if you was to have a disconnect, for instance, if you've just first got this drone, you can click return to home, or the drone will automatically come back to you, and you can see it's going to follow this path now, this green path, back to wherever you're stood. So that's working great as well. Now, if you do forget some of these settings, I do have my own DJI cheat sheets, which go through all of these settings in detail. They're going to make sure you get the very most out of it, tell you the settings to use, and tell you the settings not to use as well, and what to do in certain situations. And you can keep these either on your phone, so you've always got them with you, or you can print them out and put them in your camera bag. And they're available on my website. If you want to go check them out, they're going to be linked at the top of the description. So I do hope this helps you out. If you've been having any issues with your Mini 4 Pro or Air 3, go and update this and it might fix them for you. But let me know in the comments down below any issues or bugs that you might have been having recently. I hope the actual boot up time for this can be sorted out, can be sped up again like it was before. Is there any like bloating or bugs that are causing that? That'd be great to see. It is making me think, should I just switch back all the time now to the N2 controller with my iPhone? Much faster, the screen's brighter, but then it comes with that drawback that in bright conditions, the iPhone, the screen can dim, and also you're flying and you're getting like messages from like Domino's telling you discounts on, you know, it's more of a distraction. This, I really do enjoy this. I just hope that this whole experience can be a lot faster and a lot more streamlined, basically like it used to be before. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you did, just hit that like button. It really does help get this video to more places. Subscribe if you're new around here, because I've got loads of content coming really soon, new products that I can share with you as well. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.